I'll pretend I'm Jimmy Haslam.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
Hey, John, you played against us twice this year. You saw we had by far the best rookie class in the NFL. So what does that mean? That means we've got very inexpensive future stars at positions like tight end, linebacker, not even future stars. They might already be.
John Harbaugh is the best coach I know, best coach I've ever seen. You may say, okay, well, I'm his brother, so I might be biased, but then you have somebody like Tony Dungy, say that. It's great. It's so cool to see all my brother's accomplishments. Whatever team he goes to is going to be formidable. I just hope it's in the NFC. A gift, have the best coach.
Over here.
He'll be a head coach next year. We'll be playing against him in some form or fashion. Like I said, hope that's in the NFC.
The Baltimore Ravens firing John Harbaugh sent shockwaves through the entire league, and almost immediately, Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam went into action. This wasn't a slow burn or a rumor floating in the background. This was a power move forming in real time, and league insiders noticed it instantly. This is no longer speculation or fan chatter.
Shedeur, I don't want to say how it went, but how in the world can somebody fault him for saying or thinking, why in the world would I go back up Lamar for 10 more years?
Multiple sources close to the Browns organization say Haslam's focus is locked in on Harbaugh, and the vision couldn't be clearer if it were written on a whiteboard in the owner's suite. Bring Harbaugh to Cleveland and pair him with Shedeur Sanders, the same way he once paired belief, structure, and patience to turn Lamar Jackson into an MVP-caliber quarterback. What makes this situation so wild is the timing, because the timing is screaming intent. Kevin Stefanski was fired by the Browns just one single day before Harbaugh was dismissed in Baltimore. One day apart, in a league where nothing happens by accident, especially at the ownership level. You don't fire a head coach without a plan, and you don't just happen to be available the same week another proven coach becomes unemployed.
It's disappointing. I think our guys fought. We were that close to winning the North, and we didn't get a chance to get it done. So all that other stuff is history.
This feels like conversations that were already happening behind closed doors, with agents talking, feelers being sent out, and contingency plans quietly prepared long before the news ever broke. This kind of alignment doesn't happen randomly in the NFL. These are billion-dollar organizations run by people who think months ahead, not hours.
Hey, if you hired John Harbaugh, you can't say that about any other head coaching candidate.
Whether it was weeks in the making or a perfectly timed pivot, the pieces are falling together far too cleanly to dismiss as coincidence. Now step back and really think about Cleveland's situation. The Browns have been searching for a franchise quarterback for decades, not years, decades. Jerseys change, regimes change, logos change. But the quarterback problem has haunted this organization like a shadow that never leaves. Jimmy Haslam knows the truth, even if he doesn't say it out loud.
Absolutely. Great coach.
If Cleveland is ever going to escape that cycle, he needs two things working together at the same time. He needs a proven coach who knows how to develop elite quarterbacks under pressure, and he needs a young quarterback with the confidence, talent, and edge to handle being the guy in a market that's been burned too many times. John Harbaugh and Shedeur Sanders might represent the rare moment where both needs are met at once. That's not just opportunity, that's urgency. Now let's talk about what really happened in Baltimore, because that's where this story takes a turn. The Ravens' final game of the season ended in a brutal field goal loss to Pittsburgh. A gut punch ending, the kind that lingers long after the locker room empties. But beneath the surface, that game exposed deeper cracks. Sources close to the team say there were disagreements on play calling, frustration with communication, and moments where trust looked strained between Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson. Not explosive arguments, but enough tension to suggest a relationship that had reached its limit.
You've got to be smart in terms of IQ, EQ, and football acumen. And obviously, they're going to bring expertise on one side of the ball. We do not have bias on whether they should be from the offense or the defense.
That loss didn't just hurt the standings. It ended the Ravens' season entirely. And according to league whispers, it also sealed Harbaugh's fate. Ownership decided that despite all the success, despite the MVP season, despite years of stability, it was time for a reset. When decisions happen that fast, it usually means they weren't made overnight. Someone had already been thinking about the future, already questioning whether the partnership still worked, already preparing for what comes next. And here's where things get really interesting. During the previous draft process, John Harbaugh wanted Shedeur Sanders badly. He saw something familiar: the poise under pressure, the competitiveness, the leadership presence that shows up before the stat sheet does. Harbaugh believed Shedeur had the same raw qualities he once saw in Lamar Jackson. Not a copy, but the same fire. The same belief that the huddle belongs to him. Harbaugh was convinced he could mold Shedeur into something special.
How you doing, bro?
Doing great. You?
Same old. Yeah, good.
Keep working, keep fighting.
You bet your ass, man.
Yeah.
Man, we done been in a bunch of these, you and I, haven't we?
We have.
I remember one time we were sitting around talking about what our kids were for Halloween.
Yeah, I know.
And them damn kids grown.
I know, yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know.
That's the perspective.
Something elite, something that could carry a franchise forward. But Baltimore's ownership wasn't sold. They didn't want to spend a first-round pick. They didn't want to use a second-round pick either. They believed Lamar was their guy and didn't want to risk a quarterback controversy. As the draft slipped into later rounds, Harbaugh pushed harder. By the third round, sources say he was actively exploring every possible angle. He even reached out to Shedeur Sanders, Shedeur's father, to gauge interest. Think about that for a second. One of the most respected head coaches in football personally calling Coach Prime to discuss his son's future. That's not casual curiosity, that's conviction. But the fit wasn't right. Shedeur Sanders wasn't interested in being a long-term backup or a developmental safety net. And honestly, why would he be? Shedeur was raised to know his value, to trust his preparation.
To talk about the draft room decision-making process, so I'm not going to be able to answer that for you. As much as I may like to or may not want to, I'm not going to be able to answer that for you.
And to believe he belongs at the center of the spotlight. He wants responsibility. He wants the offense. He wants the pressure that comes with being the guy, not sitting on the bench waiting for an opening that might never come. So Shedeur and his camp made a respectful but firm decision. They appreciated the interest, respected the legacy, but declined the opportunity. And now, with Harbaugh suddenly available and Cleveland desperate for direction, the paths that once didn't align might be crossing at exactly the right moment. And then came the moment that made everything crystal clear in hindsight.
Also, as you know, with the trade we made with the Jags, we have a couple first-round picks. We're going to let you help pick our next quarterback, whether that's a veteran to compete with Shedeur Sanders, whether you like somebody in the draft. And you know what else we have, John, that most people don't have? We have low expectations, and we have a chance for you to get back at the Ravens.
Shortly after the draft, John Harbaugh was asked directly about the situation during a press conference, and his response said way more than the words themselves ever could. He explained, and yes, this is paraphrased, that it wasn't his place to discuss specific players or signings, and that player acquisition ultimately fell on management, not the coaching staff. That answer landed heavy. Anyone who's followed the league long enough could hear the frustration underneath the professionalism. This wasn't a coach dodging a question. This was a coach making it known, without crossing lines, that his voice wasn't the one carrying weight in the room. You could hear it in his tone. You could see it in his posture. Harbaugh had identified a quarterback he believed in, a player he felt matched his vision. And that vision was shut down by executives in suits who never have to stand on the sideline when things fall apart. From that moment on, something shifted. The fire that Ravens fans were used to seeing didn't burn quite as hot. The passion was still there, but it felt restrained, filtered, like someone who knew their input no longer mattered the way it once did. As the season went on, the signs became harder to ignore. Harbaugh wasn't as animated. The sideline energy dipped. His interactions felt more distant, more measured. And behind the scenes, people started whispering that missing out on Shedeur Sanders weighed on him more than he let on. The connection with players felt off at times. Not broken, but strained. When you combine that with mounting pressure, injuries, and a locker room navigating its own frustrations, things can unravel fast in this league.
We heard rumors that I thought it was just a made-for-TV story. Whoever loses the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game is out as head coach. Right. That included Tomlin. Then remember a couple weeks ago or last week, the story came out that Lamar was playing video games and falling asleep in meetings, and then they both came on and go, oh, no, he goes, I love Lamar. Chris, clearly something was amiss. Right? Something is not right in that locker room. Let me, for the record, state right now, the Browns did call his agent.
Then came that final loss to Pittsburgh. A close game, a brutal ending, and suddenly all those quiet issues were no longer quiet. The disagreements with Lamar Jackson surfaced more clearly. The communication breakdowns became impossible to gloss over. It felt like the dam finally cracked. Not with chaos, but with inevitability. And that's when Jimmy Haslam entered the picture in a big way. Say whatever you want about Haslam. Browns fans certainly have opinions. He's made mistakes. He's backed the wrong people before. He's chased answers that didn't pan out. But one thing about Haslam is undeniable. He never stops looking for an edge. He never stops searching for the move that could finally change the trajectory of this franchise. When he saw what was unfolding in Baltimore, when he realized that John Harbaugh might actually be available, he didn't hesitate. This wasn't a situation where Cleveland waited to see how things played out. According to reports, Haslam reached out to Harbaugh's camp within hours of the firing. Hours, not days, not weeks. That tells you everything. And the pitch wasn't complicated. It was strategic. Come to Cleveland. Take real control over the quarterback direction. No mixed messages. No internal tug of war. No second guessing from the top. The message was clear. You wanted Shedeur Sanders before? We'll get him for you now. That's a blank canvas most head coaches never get, especially not proven ones.
It's the type of job that just doesn't come open in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, you want this job so badly, but then it obviously shakes everything up for the Browns. Like, the realistic chance that Harbaugh would just say, screw you, Baltimore, for even firing me. I'm going to go to the AFC North rival.
Especially not in a league where ownership usually guards power like it's classified information. If you hire John Harbaugh, the Shedeur Sanders conversation doesn't go away. It becomes the foundation. You can't say that about any other coaching candidate on the market right now. And when you think about Harbaugh's track record, it gets even scarier. He took a quarterback many scouts doubted, a quarterback some people lazily labeled as a running back playing quarterback, and he turned him into the most valuable player in the league. He didn't force Lamar into a rigid system. He built the system around him. He protected him. He empowered him. He trusted him. Now imagine that level of belief paired with Shedeur Sanders. A quarterback with elite pocket presence. A quarterback who can make every throw. A quarterback who's been prepared for pressure his entire life. Shedeur isn't Lamar Jackson, and that's the point. His game is different. He's more surgical, more timing-based, more traditional with the mobility to escape when needed. And Harbaugh has already proven that he can adapt. He's not stuck in one offensive philosophy. He evolves. He listens. He builds around strengths. That's what makes this pairing so dangerous for the rest of the league. Harbaugh knows how to protect young quarterbacks from themselves. He knows when to simplify, when to push, and when to let talent take over. Suddenly, Cleveland has structure. They've got a strong offensive line. They've got a powerful run game with Nick Chubb when healthy. They've got proven receiving threats like Amari Cooper. What they've been missing is alignment. The right coach and the right quarterback moving in the same direction at the same time. John Harbaugh wouldn't just be coaching Shedeur Sanders. He'd be mentoring him at the deepest level, teaching him how to move like a professional, how to command a locker room, how to handle the weight that comes with being the face of a franchise in the NFL. This wouldn't be surface-level coaching. This would be hands-on development, every detail sharpened. Harbaugh would be fully invested in pulling out the best possible version of Shedeur Sanders, because at this stage of his career, his legacy would be tied directly to it. This is about redemption just as much as it is about football. He's not chasing another job. He's chasing validation. Harbaugh spent years in Baltimore building one of the most stable and respected programs in the league. Wins, playoff runs, MVP seasons, all of it. But now he has something even bigger in front of him. A chance to do it again somewhere else, with a new team, and with a quarterback he personally believes in and helps mold from day one. This isn't about repeating history. It's about proving that what he built wasn't luck, that it wasn't just timing, that it wasn't just Lamar Jackson. This is Harbaugh saying his system works because his philosophy works. Shedeur Sanders represents a completely different quarterback archetype, and that's exactly why this matters. This is Harbaugh validating his adaptability, showing the league he can develop more than one type of elite quarterback, more than one style, more than one personality. For Jimmy Haslam, this would be the boldest swing of his entire ownership tenure. No hedging, no half measures. He'd be placing the future of the Cleveland Browns on a coach fresh off a firing and a rookie quarterback who hasn't taken a single NFL snap. That's a massive gamble, and there's no hiding from it. But this league doesn't reward safe thinking. Championships aren't built on fear. They're built on conviction. The teams that change their future are the ones willing to take calculated risks when others hesitate. And if this works, if Harbaugh and Shedeur Sanders become the next elite coach-quarterback pairing, the narrative around Jimmy Haslam flips overnight. He goes from one of the most criticized owners in football to the architect of one of the most aggressive and successful rebuilds the league has seen in years. That's how fast things change in the NFL. Now everything comes down to the next steps. Can Cleveland close the deal with Harbaugh? Will ownership actually follow through and draft Shedeur Sanders with their top pick? Will Shedeur embrace the pressure, the scrutiny, and the responsibility of turning around one of the league's most scrutinized franchises? Those answers are coming, and they're coming fast. This situation is moving quickly behind the scenes, and every signal suggests this isn't just smoke. If it happens, it won't just affect Cleveland. It would reshape the entire AFC North. Rivalries shift, power structures change, long-term plans get rewritten. This isn't a quiet offseason storyline. This is the kind of move that forces the entire league to react. Now, the real question is simple. Is this the right move for the Browns? Is John Harbaugh the coach to finally stabilize the franchise? Can Shedeur Sanders become the quarterback Cleveland has been searching for all these years? Drop your thoughts below. This offseason is just getting started, and it's already heating up fast.